Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar titled State of Play Solar Home Systems Market in Mozambique. My name is Fernanda Winter and I am working for Energypedia, and today I will be your moderator. This webinar is possible thanks to the funding from the GIZ programs Green People's Energy for Africa, GPE, and Energizing Development, ENDEV, Mozambique, with funds from GIZ, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Netherlands, NORAD, the Swiss Agency Development of Cooperation, and the European Union. Today's webinar is the first of a series of webinars in collaboration with AMER, reviewing the state of the market of different off-grid technologies in Mozambique. In this occasion, we will talk about the solar home systems, or SHS, market in Mozambique. Next slide, please. So before we begin with the presentation, let us go through some housekeeping rules. All attendees have been muted for the duration of the webinar. However, for the panel discussion, we're taking questions from you, from the audience, and you can send your questions via the questions tab on your control panel. Please state if your question is directed to a specific speaker. And if you're watching us today from a mobile device, please look for the question mark icon to see the pop-up where you can state your question. Please feel free to use the same feature to communicate in case you experience any difficulties during the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and the documentation will be shared with you shortly after the webinar. Next, please. So on today's agenda, we have an introduction from Ricardo Pereira from AMER, followed by a presentation from Ranisha to launch the Mozambique Off-grid Energy Hub and to talk about the status of the SHS market in Mozambique. After that, we will have through the table and a panel discussion with representatives of 4 companies. And after that, we will have the panel, a conclusion of the panel discussion, and we will close the webinar. So now we would like to know about you, the audience. So please tell us where you're viewing us from. You will see a poll on your screen. So you can select where are you based right now. You can choose Mozambique or another part of Africa, or if you're seeing us from Asia, Europe, or another place. So I'll give some more seconds. Okay. So now we will share the result. So the majority is viewing us from Mozambique, 46%. We also have a lot of people from Europe and some people from other parts of Africa, Asia, and other places. Good. So now we would like to know, we have another question for you. We would like to know if you would like to see future webinars in Portuguese. So if you want to, please indicate yes. This is so we can address your needs and can adapt better to our audience. Okay, a few more seconds. Okay, thank you all for your votes. So it's a 50-50. Good. So yeah, thank you very much. We will consider for the future, for a future webinar. Now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Ricardo Costa Pereira, President of the Board of Mozambique Renewable Energy Association, AMER. Ricardo has been working over a decade in the renewable energy sector in Southern Africa, specifically Mozambique. So please, Ricardo, if you can unmute yourself, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, Fernanda. And It was really interesting to see the 50-50 there. Not sure what we will do, but great to see, and great to see that there's people from everywhere. There's people in Mozambique, there's people in Asia and in Europe, and even in other places. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining Energypedia and AMER, and a big thank you also to our panelists that have taken the time to be here with us today. So I'll be quick, and I had the idea that everyone here would have at least heard about AMER, but seeing that we have an audience from so many different places, I will take the opportunity to introduce ourselves. So I am one of the founders and also currently the president of the board of directors of AMER, and AMER stands for Associação Moçambicana de Energias Renováveis, so Renewable Energy Association of Mozambique. Next slide, please. We are a business association, so our members are private sector companies, institutions, organizations. We like to think of ourselves as the body that collates the voice of the private sector, and we're here to promote renewable energy in Mozambique. We have been created since 2017, and we represent across the board. We represent all sectors that are working in the renewable energy market space. So we are completely technology agnostic. Thank you. Next slide, please. So what are our roles? So the roles, as I had mentioned, our members are private sector members. Our roles are, as we have stated there, we are here to represent and act as the common voice of the renewable energy sector. There's also a big part that AMER plays in actually promoting awareness and dissemination of the vast renewable energy resources that we have across the country and across the region. We have become more and more the crossing bridge between the various decision bodies, be that in the political sphere, be that in the economical, even in the social sphere. And we like to see ourselves as that bridge that allows our members, be them private companies, be it individuals, to have a voice and to have a path with the people that make decisions, both in the country and also in the region. And lastly, but not least important, at the end of the day, we are here to try and promote and facilitate the development of projects in Mozambique, because those projects will ultimately mean that as a country we are growing, and as a people we are getting the benefits that not only renewable energy provides, but also the implementation of projects from both the social and economic point of view. Thank you. Next slide, please. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to, so that was AMER, and I'd just like to take the opportunity to give a highlight to both those that are new to us, but also to those that know us, and I'm sure there's a lot of our members here also in the audience. We've done quite a lot this year, and I'm very happy to say that, you know, since the beginning of the year, we've actually revised our internal strategy and also our organizational manual. We now have a communication strategy in place, and we've been doing a lot of work on, as some of you may know, I will try and avoid jargon and technical terminology, because I know also, I'm sure there's in the audience there are people that are new to this sector. So for those of you that don't know, Mozambique is going through a major legal reform in the energy space, and where there's been a revision of the electricity law and also now the off-grid energy access regulation, and AMER played a key part in that we received from government a lot of those still in draft form, allowed our members to comment and to provide input, and provided that back to government. We're very happy to see that both the electricity law and the off-grid energy access regulations are now almost in their last stages of approval within government. So we're very happy, and thank you to the members and everyone that participated that allowed us for that great contribution. And lastly, by November, we will have our General Assembly. So, and that will obviously be to all our members. So these have been, let's say, what I call internal activities. And maybe I'll just speak quickly on the next slide of what we will do until the end of the year in terms of external. So external activities, we have together and in partnership with ALER, which is the Lusophone Association. We have done the Europe and Mozambique Investment Forum with almost over 600 and so participants. There's a summary report, and please feel free. I think I'm very safe to say that's probably one of the most complete reports that we have up to date on the market. Together with those reports, there's also videos, so feel free to reach out. I think for those of you that know the sector, but even for those of you that don't, these reports are extremely helpful, and they've been produced in a way that is extremely helpful to those that want to understand the sector and some of the things that we'll be speaking today. We've published this report, which I was the author of the impact of COVID on the renewable energy sector in Mozambique, thanks to our partnership with UKDIT. And once again, as I've mentioned, we did engagements directly with electricity for the electricity law and the off-grid access regulation with the authorities. And last but not least, we are here on these webinar series, and I'm very happy, and Renisha and both Fernanda will tell you about it. This is the first of many to come. At least there will be at least 4 in this series, and we will be doing this every month and sharing with you and having also experts of the sector here to share with us what's happening in the renewable energy sector in Mozambique. So we will do these webinars, and we hope to see you all in the next ones. Yeah, I probably think that was my last slide. Thank you very much. Come talk to us. Our website is there. Our email is there, and feel free to also reach out to myself on the chat. I'm not sure if you have access to the chat, but I mean, feel free to reach out to the organizers, and we will definitely get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. That was a very nice presentation. I speak, for Energypedia, saying that we're really happy to be working together with you, and we're also looking forward to the other webinars after this one. Hopefully we get a good response. So far it seems really good. So now I would like to introduce my colleague, who is going to talk about our new project. We're going to launch the Mozambique Off-grid Knowledge Hub, and she's Renisha Pasnet. She's working in Energypedia. And Renisha, the floor is yours. Please, if you would introduce yourself and our project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and really happy to be here. First of all, a warm welcome from my side too. Thank you for all of you who joined us today. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to give a quick shout out to our generous funders, GIZ program, Green People's Energy for Africa, and Energizing Development Mozambique. This event, including the hub that I'm going to present shortly, has only been possible due to the support from the GIZ program. So a huge thank you. And the Energizing Development Mozambique is funded by GIZ, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands, NORAD, Swiss Affairs and Development Corporations, and European Union. And then we are really excited and happy to invite you to the launch. And so moving forward, maybe before I dive into my presentation for today, I wanted to also give a quick overview of Energypedia for those who do not know us. Energypedia is an online platform where you can find all kinds of information related to renewable energy and energy efficiency in the developing countries context. So we are a non-profit that maintain the platform so that all the information that you find on Energypedia is easily available and freely available to everyone. And as a wiki-based platform, you can not only access the information on Energypedia, but you can also contribute information. That means to all the amazing audience who are listening to us today, if there is any particular topics that you would like to share or any topics you'd like to contribute to the hub, then you can not only visit Energypedia and get information, but you can also contribute to it. And that is the same concept we took towards and brought it to the Mozambique Energypedia Off-grid Knowledge Hub. So what we are trying to do with this hub is to have a one-stop destination where we can find curated renewable energy and energy access information in Mozambique. And we have basically tried to focus on 4 prominent technologies, that is solar home system, clean cook stoves, nano-slash mini grids, and productive use of energy. And also, as I mentioned before, with Energypedia, it's not only a static website, you just view the information. It can also be continuously updated with the information that you, the audience, can contribute or would like to contribute to. So that's the same principle for the hub. So it's going to be a living document, which our aim is to continuously update it with the new information as they come in. And we also invite the stakeholders where they can share their project information, knowledge, and lessons learned on the hub. So moving forward, so on my screen, you can see 2 screenshots of the hub. So the hub is online, and the link to the hub we will share in the follow-up email that will go out to you. And my colleague will also drop in the chat shortly. So you can also access it there. And as you can see on my screen, currently the hub is available in English language, but we do have an option of translating it in Portuguese. So you'll be able to translate the hub and all the information on it in Portuguese, and also view it in Portuguese. And in future, we will also make sure that the hub page is also available in both English and Portuguese. And now to go deeper on what exactly this hub entails, or what kind of information you can look forward to. So the first and foremost is a background information on Mozambique, whether that be what is the electricity situation look like, what is the status quo about that, how does the RE potential, that is the renewable energy potential for different energy resources like solar, hydro, biomass look like, what are the institutional framework, that means who are the actors working, what is their role and responsibility, how is the role of FUNE, how is the role of MEREME, how is the role of other actors from the government. So all this background information that you would need about the country is what is available on the hub. And as you can see, it is a work in progress. So the one that you can see on the screen, the green in color, those are the ones that are already available. But as it's the living document, we are also populating the hub as it grows. And again, on the hub, you can also find then sub-technology hubs for specific technologies like solar home system, improved cook stoves, mini/nanogrid, and productive uses of energy. So moving forward, that was the information about what can you find. And also along with that, we also have different sections. So there is a section about sector news, where we will then document what are the latest news from the sectors, that is what is the latest law that has just been passed, and so on. So if you have any news that you would like to highlight, please do put it up here and share it with us, and we will share it on the hub. And then we also have a publication database where we will be sharing the latest RE publication, the opportunities, where it means all kind of opportunities like funding, learning opportunities, courses, and so on. So we will be also linking all of those here so that you can have a look at those ones. And then we do invite you to also be part of the off-grid practitioners group. So on Energypedia, after you create an account, you can also join this group, which is a group for all practitioners who are working in the Mozambique space. And what you can do is you can click on join the group, and every month we will then send you a update about what are the latest happening in the sector and so on. And then you also have a discussion page where you then post the discussion. You can also post discussions about any burning issues you might have, or any questions you might have, and so on. And someone else from the audience, from the other experts, can reply to that, and we will then have it everything here where you can come and discuss. And finally, we do invite everyone who is joining us today to also for the Stakeholder Database, which is a database of all the actors who are active in the Mozambican space. So please add your organization to the database. And again, it's free of cost. It's available to everyone. All you have to do is create an account in Energypedia, enter, and then add your information to this database. And finally, we would also like to showcase the Solar Hub, which is a hub specifically dedicated to solar energy for Mozambique. And again, here, what are the kinds of information that you can look forward to is background information. For example, today in the audience, we might have our audience who are just getting into the topic and are really interested to first get an introduction to solar home systems. What are the technical standards and so on. So you could find background information of that sort. And then we also have specific market information about who are the actors who are active in the sector, how does the market look like, and so on. And then again, there is a business side of it where you can look at what are the different financing opportunities for the private sector, how does the policy framework look like, and so on. And finally, there is the section case studies. And as you can see, it is a work in progress. So I do invite you to share your case studies with us. So in the audience, again, if you have any case studies about solar energy implementation in Mozambique, do reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to feature it on the hub. So that's available for everyone. And it can be in both English and Portuguese language. And as I mentioned before, all the information on the hub and everywhere can be translated into Portuguese. So that was a quick introduction to the hub. So I hope you'll have a look at it and do also share your feedback. We are more than happy to receive all kinds of feedback and we are looking for your feedback so that we can also develop it. And as I said, it's a living document. So we are continuously updating it, upgrading it. So if there is also information that you have and you think this is what is lacking, please do reach out to us. You will have our contact information in the email that will go out after this webinar. And then today I have also the task of setting the scene for solar home system, this solar home system market in Mozambique. So now I'm going to quickly talk about how does the situation in Mozambique look like. And then I'm not going to dive in deeper because we have a stellar lineup of panels today who are expertise in the sector, and they are going to discuss about it in detail. So here I would just be setting the scene so that then we can hear more about it from our panelists today. So looking at the energy access situation in Mozambique, Mozambique is among the top 20 energy deficit countries. But when we look at rate of population with access to grid electricity, we see that there has been an increase from 8% in 2006 to 34% in 2020. And in 2019, 21 million Mozambiques still lacked access to electricity. And these are the figures from different ASIFOL reports, World Bank reports, and so on. And then when you look at specifically about what about lighting, what is the major source of lighting that is used, we see that there is a difference between urban population and the rural population. With the rural population, kerosene lamps tend to be the most dominant one, whereas with urban population, it is the grid electricity that is the major source of lighting, followed by candles, which is a tiny percent. And for rural population, it's the solar lamps. So you clearly can see the division in the types of electricity used in both settings. And also you can see that solar power is popping up in our rural area populations. And specifically now, when we talk about the solar energy potential in Mozambique, there is an abundant and unexploited resources such that the total potential is estimated to be 23,000 gigawatt, out of which 2.7 gigawatt is realistically suitable. And this calculation is done on the basis of the present grid and the present expansion plan. So this amount is expected to be compatible with the present electrification grid expansion. But there are some challenges with regard to the policy framework and then the dispersed population. I am not going to dive deeper into the challenges because, again, our panels, they will share more on it. And just looking at the solar home system market in general in Mozambique, we see that it is still at a nascent state, but it is growing. And this is largely due to innovative financing mechanisms such as PAYGO, which has revolutionized the entire solar sector, and also different donor-funded programs which have been supporting the sector. And overall, we see the market has been expanding since 2017, but due to the COVID crisis starting in early 2020, it has faced a setback. And like any other sector worldwide, it has also impacted the solar home system market in Mozambique. How specifically, again, we will discuss in the panel discussion. And currently, there are 20 plus companies active in the market. And a quick look at who are the major donor-funded programs that are supporting the solar home system in Mozambique. We have the result-based financing mechanism from NDEF, which is supporting the private sector. Then we have the Green People's Energy for Mozambique, which is supporting capacity building, specifically the course and green skills for development, and also promotion of productive end use for income generation. We have the BRILO, which is also providing catalytic grants and RVF funding, which is a result-based funding. And then we have the World Bank's Pro Energia program, which is supporting the RVF with RVF financing mechanism. This list is not an extensive list of all the programs active. For that, I would encourage you to go to the hub and look at who are the energy access programs and donor supported programs. This is more like some of the top ones that some of the major ones that we are displaying today. And if we look at the market size, we see that as of 2019, 63% of the population live in rural areas, out of which 5% have access to grid electricity, and out of the total population, only 29.6. And this was the figure from 2019. As we saw before, the figure from 2020 has increased to 34%. And as of 2020, early 2020, there were over 70,000 solar home systems sold by 5 major companies in Mozambique. Again, today we will see in the presentation of our panelists that we have surpassed this number by a huge amount, and this number was more or less for the early 2020s. And just looking at the market in general, it is estimated that 1 in every 5 households in Mozambique could afford a SHS, which is a solar home system, and that is more around 824,000 Mozambican households. And when we look at which are the major or the largest potential markets, they are in Nampula, Cabo Delgado, and Manica. And this is again a study that was done by USAID to understand the willingness to pay and the market in Mozambique. Again, looking at the willingness to pay, we see that the rural population is already spending around on average 12 and the urban on average 13 for different kind of lighting expenses. And 60% of the households this was again from the same survey, was willing to pay over USD 12.5 per month for solar home systems with radio. And these are also more information, like 59% of the potential customers, that would be the 1 in 5 households have unstable income and 55 have fixed expenditures. So overall, we see that the willingness to pay is highest in Nampula, in Hamere, and Sofala. And this is also very important to see, because when you look at market, you always want to look at where are the potential markets and what is the willingness to pay. And again, based on the study from USAID in 2020. Finally, I am coming towards the conclusion. There are still a lot of things that we haven't talked about, like the challenges, opportunities which the panels are going to talk about. Here I was trying to set the scene, and overall what we can see for the solar home system market is it's definitely growing, but it definitely needs a lot of support. A clear regulatory framework is definitely going to be helpful. Easy access to credit and information is also really going to be helpful. And the existing willingness and ability to pay of the consumers is affected by COVID-19. So the subsidies or the relief targeted should be also targeted on how to bridge this gap. So that was a short overview from my side, and I hope that was a quick overview on this solar home system market scenario in Mozambique. and I hope that was useful to you. I do encourage you to have a look at the Solar Hub to get detailed information about all the things that I talked about today. So please do have a look, and there you'll find all the information detail. Before I end my presentation, I also want to quickly say that if I've convinced you and you are really convinced of Energypedia and would like to know us more, we do have a help webinar that is coming up on 21st October. We will share the link with you in a follow-up email that will go out again today. And do register for the webinar, and do reach out to us if you'd like to collaborate with us in any and all ways. We are always happy to collaborate. And also, finally, I do encourage you to all register on Energypedia. All you have to do is go to www.energypedia.info and click on the register button. So there you then you will just have a simple formula where you can put in your username, your email address, and your the groups you'll be interested in. Please choose the groups that says Mozambique Off-grid Hub, and then you can already be part of the practitioners group and receive more information about the sector on a regular basis. So with that, I thank you for your thank you for listening to me, and please do reach out to me. You can see my email address on the screen. And now back to you, Fernanda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanisha, for the presentation of the Knowledge Hub. As you mentioned, we are really excited about sharing all their experience and all their knowledge in this sector in the portal. And we really hope to see new faces in our practitioners group and new names in our stakeholder database, as well as, in general, the opportunity to collaborate together in this sector. And thank you so much for that introduction to set the scene about the current market for solar home systems. So right now, moving forward to the next part of our webinar, I would like to welcome our 4 speakers for the panel discussion. So first we will do a tour of the table so we get to know them all. Our speakers today are Luke Hutchinson from ENGIE, Product Director from ENGIE. We have Nuno Lopez, Country Director from Solarworks Mozambique. We have Jose Eduardo Cartuza from Dynamis, Financial Director from Dynamis. And last but not least, Paulo Raposeiro, CEO of Epsilon. So Luke, if you could please unmute yourself and go forward your presentation. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'll start with a minor correction. I'm the Managing Director of ENGIE Energy Access Mozambique. My previous role was the Product Director of the global company, but no worries. So yeah, I'll just quickly present ENGIE Energy Access. We've previously been known as Phoenix here in Mozambique, and we've had a name change, so I'll just give some context. Next slide, please. So ENGIE is a 150-year-old company, previously known as GDF Suez. They repositioned the group in 2016. They have a lot of experience in Africa and Gaz de France before, so one of the oldest independently owned energy companies in the world, and part owned by the French government as well. Next slide, please. It's a worldwide company with over 170,000 employees, 60 billion in revenue, and a big investment as well in R&D, and has a modest presence in Africa through their Middle East, Africa, and Asia segment. Next slide, please. More statistics on ENGIE. I think the most important one is the investment in access to energy. So this number has actually increased recently, but ENGIE as a group has invested over 160 million euros in off-grid energy access programs, including ENGIE Energy Access, which is the company that is operating in Mozambique. Next slide, please. So ENGIE Energy Access is the combination of 3 entities. In 2018, ENGIE purchased Phoenix International, which was a Pego solar home system company operating in Uganda and Zambia. And it also purchased Movisol, Pego solar home system company operating in Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. And its mini-grid company, PowerCorner, and merged the 3 to form ENGIE Energy Access. Next slide, please. So NG Energy Access is, with a combination of these three companies, is now a leading off-grid pay-as-you-go and mini-grid solutions provider in Africa. With the products from Phoenix and Mobisol, we have a very wide range of affordable solar home systems, starting as low as 10 watts and going up to 200 watts with the solar home systems, and then obviously mini-grids are power solutions for entire communities. And combining the technology from these three companies, we also have a really advanced product engineering and customer-centric credit model. We are designing new products and introducing new products. So we do product design and manufacturing ourselves, and all the products that we sell in our markets are our own products as well. Next slide, please. So today, we have over 1 million customers in Africa. This is just NG Energy Access. We round that up or down, whichever way, to 5 million lives impacted. We have over 1,700 employees across 9 countries, and Mozambique is the most recent market that we entered in 2019. We hope to quadruple that number to 4 million customers by 2025, and to move from, I believe we're at about 100 mini-grids to over 1,000 mini-grids in that time period as well. Next slide, please. So our business model, the solar home systems, we do pay-as-you-go solar home systems. We are vertically integrated, so we manufacture in China, we import to the countries we operate in. We do our own last mile sales, distribution, customer financing, and service and support. Everything is controlled by us. We believe this is really important to the success of the model. Our customers require very high quality products, high quality support, and education in order to be successful with the financial commitment they're taking on with our products. So for us, vertical integration is the only way to succeed at that. Mini grids, our model is a fairly standard mini grid model. We work with local providers to install the mini grids and to service them, and we kind of operate in a centralized way in each market. However, we will be exploring more, especially in Mozambique. We're excited to explore more hybrid models with mini grids and solar home systems for communities which are a little bit more dispersed, and that's an area we're looking to innovate over the coming 18 months. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we have a wide range of solar home systems. On the lower end, our 10 to 50 watt systems are what we're currently selling in Mozambique. The premium range of the 50 to 200 or 300 watt are we're hoping to launch over the next 12 months or so, including fridge systems, inverters, etc. The customer journey is pretty should be familiar to most people who understand the solar home system model, but the customer pays a small deposit. Either our agent or the customer installs at their home, mostly plug and play, very simple. And then the customer makes small payments via mobile money. In Mozambique, that's M-Pesa, which are accepted by our system, which then issues codes to unlock the product for a certain number of days, however much they paid for. And then once the customer has paid off the entire value of the installments, the system unlocks permanently, and they gain access to the product for free for the lifetime of the product, which we expect to be around 5 to 7 years. Next slide, please. Next slide again, please. And just to give us to give you statistics on Mozambique, next slide, please. We have over 60,000 customers in Mozambique. We've had in just over 2 years, we've been active. We have 140 plus employees, over 650 commissioned agents, and we're operating in 8 provinces in around 42 districts across the country. So we've expanded really fast, and this has been thanks to a lot of help from donors and people from the industry who have helped us to set up and get moving. We've formed partnerships with FUNAI and worked closely with the government as well. But it's been a really rapid growth. We can't complain too much about COVID. It's certainly been a success so far. We also focus a lot on customer experience. We work closely with Vodacom on this, and we have an NPS score of 65, which is excellent. Next slide, please. So our products, as I mentioned, in Mozambique, we're mainly we're only selling between 10 and 50 watts. Our cheapest products at the moment start from just 9 metacash per day, or 270 per month. We are flexible with our customers, so customers don't have to pay full month installments at a time. We believe this makes us fairly unique, and also very attractive to customers who can struggle to raise the entire amount of a monthly installment at once. Giving them this ability to pay daily or weekly or in any size installment they want really allows us to meet the same cadence as they receive their income. And what this means is they don't have to save up and keep that money on the side with other competing pressures for other expenditures in the household. One of the things that I will talk about later is that we have seen a real shift towards our entry-level systems during COVID, which has a myriad of reasons, but yeah, it's just a kind of probably an expected impact of the pandemic. Next slide, please. We do also sell what we call upgrades, which are designed to help our customers to climb the energy ladder. So a customer can start with a small system, and then when they're feeling comfortable, and as long as they're paying us well, they can purchase a larger system, which kind of adds on to their current system with TVs, lanterns, or hair clippers for personal use or a small business. These have been moderately successful, and we've seen a big uptake of the TV kits in particular this year in Mozambique, thanks to increased support from donors. Next slide, please. I think we're on. So that's Energy Access Mozambique. Looking forward to the panel today, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luke. Now I would ask Nuno to please unmute yourself, and you can go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First, my name is Nuno Lopes, and on behalf of SolarWorks Mozambique, I would like to thank for the invitation and also to congratulate everyone here to participate on this webinar. And my special thanks go to AMER, GIZ, Energypedia, and also to my panel colleagues as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. Well, SolarWorks was founded in 2008 as a provider of decentralized solar home systems by offering pay-as-you-go energy solution with ambition to improve lives of people who do not have access to electricity, delivering basic energy solutions in an affordable manner. Our goal is to help rural Southern Africa communities to electrify and to build sustainable living standards, viable from a commercial and also from a financial point of view. SolarWorks grew significantly in the past 4 years, and we have at this moment 250 staff members, of which around 48 are female. Plus a flexible number of 350 external agents. Having installed the last years above 70,000 systems, and currently around 2,500 systems a month, SolarWorks also aims to be the #1 off-grid energy service provider in Mozambique and in Southern Africa. Next slide, please. Thank you. SolarWorks offers a wide variety of products and services, and that allows customers to access to different service levels and over the time expand to satisfy their ever-growing energy needs. With pay-as-you-go contract, we also try to align customer energy needs with their income and the costs of the contract. We target customers, our target customers are mainly private households, families, farmers, and also small business for productive use. Our sales team works together with communities in order to better meet their needs, which over the last year and a half it's been difficult, consequence of the COVID. Our national network of service agents is supported by a modern call center that ensures premium customers experience. We have around 45 staff members on our call center that assists the whole country. Financial inclusion is also one of our concerns. Many customers are now sign up for a mobile money or a bank account for the first time in their life, and we build up a credit history. Next slide, please. Thank you. Mozambique has a population of around 29 million people, of which close to 30% is now electrified. However, in rural areas, up to 95% still do not have access to electricity. Our target group sits typically between 25 and 50 years old, live off-grid, and they want or own appliances, TVs, radios, fans, and so on, and earn something close to $1,000 a year. Solarworks Mozambique intends to continue expanding its operations and in the existing markets, and also introducing new products as well, increasing geographic footprint, starting now operating in 3 new strategic provinces. We are actually now in 7. Our value proposition goes from tier 1 to tier 5. The cheaper one, which is a tier 1 and 2, starts from $4 to $12 a month and gives access to light, phone charging, and an optional radio. The tier 3 goes from $20 to $35 a month, mostly for information, entertainment. It's TV systems and sound systems, and the tier 4 and 5 more for the productive use, small business solutions, up to $25 per month, excluding appliances like water pumps, fridges, freezers, those type of appliances that allows productive use. Next slide, please. Okay, as now just as learnings or kind of a final comments, my first final comment goes to what has been discussed for a while. And the fact that, as in other countries in Africa, VAT and import duties should be exempted. In Mozambique, they are not yet. They are very talented people, and we must keep investing in developing them. We cannot quit or forget the fact that we need a much more effective and balanced gender policy. Solar is not going away, and we need more equity investments. They are needed. Service is everything. Recycling and reuse of batteries, it's also a priority. The higher the volume, the lower the cost. So I think that working together is necessary between companies in this sector. Just as a final conclusion, I would like to mention the fact that the small systems, the ones that have a huge impact, that also allow us to make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, can only be done with RBF programs. And I personally want to finish my presentation thanking the support from all the players in Mozambique. And I just want to mention for now GIZ, I want to mention Brilho, ACF, and all the others important players and programs that are actually operating in Mozambique. Thank you for your time, and feel free to reach me if you need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nuno. And now I would like to welcome Jose. Can you please unmute yourself? Jose's presentation is going to be in Portuguese. Thank you.
Bom dia a todos. Aqui é José Catuza, da empresa Dynamics Limitada. Passarei a dar a nossa apresentação em português. Peço o próximo slide. Next slide. A empresa Dynamics Limitada é uma empresa que podemos dizer que é fruto do crescimento das empresas que atuam no ramo dos sistemas solares de Moçambique. Somos uma empresa completamente moçambicana que iniciou as suas atividades em 2017 como um revendedor de sistemas solares de outras entidades que já operavam no mercado nacional. Não tínhamos a capacidade de fazer a importação dos sistemas solares, por isso recorríamos às empresas que já tinham o seu próprio produto aqui no mercado nacional. Com o crescimento do setor, foi-nos abertas várias oportunidades e tivemos a oportunidade de beneficiar de alguns dos incentivos que são disponibilizados pelos parceiros nacionais e, em parceria com a empresa estrangeira, que é a Rural Spark, estamos a fazer a distribuição dos nossos próprios sistemas solares usando o sistema PayGo. Próximo slide, por favor. Next slide. Bem, os nossos kits são vendidos, na sua maioria, no território nacional, concretamente na província de Maputo. Como referi, nós iniciamos muito recentemente, em 2017, e só em 2020 é que começamos já a operar como uma empresa que vende os seus próprios equipamentos, através do sistema PayGo. E de lá para cá, tivemos a oportunidade de iniciar com as atividades efetivamente em abril de 2021. Desde 2021, abril, até o presente mês, outubro, já contamos com uma média de 1.192 kits já vendidos. Ao iniciarmos a nossa atividade em abril, começou de uma forma muito baixa as vendas e apenas no primeiro mês conseguíamos vender em torno de 100 e tal kits. Mas fomos criando sinergias, usando os recursos que nos são disponíveis e conseguimos aumentar as nossas vendas e atualmente já conseguimos ter uma média de 200 a 300 de vendas diárias. Próximo slide. Nós, neste momento, contamos com uma gama de 6 produtos que são compostos com o mais baixo de todos eles, o mais barato neste caso, é composto por 3 lâmpadas e vem com 2 baterias, que dá um uso de aproximadamente 8 horas de tempo, se usado na sua potência máxima. E este equipamento, o mais baixo de todos, tem um custo mensal de $8 por mês. E também temos o nosso kit maior de todos, que tem cerca de $19 ao mês. Este kit maior de todos é composto por uma televisão, 5 cubos de carga e 3 lâmpadas, e também vem com uma máquina de cortar cabelo. De salientar que os nossos produtos podem ser usados, todos eles, como uso produtivo. Isto dependendo da necessidade do próprio cliente. Como é que pode ser usado como uso produtivo? É que os nossos cubos, depois de serem carregados, depois de estarem completamente carregados, eles são móveis. Podem ser usados de forma móvel, pode ser movimentada. O que nós temos incentivado aos nossos clientes é que eles possam ter uma fonte de rendimento através do próprio sistema. Damos a eles a ideia de poder fazer carregamento de telefones da população circunvizinha, para aqueles que não têm o sistema solar. E, em troca disso, eles podem ter algum rendimento e ter também a possibilidade de fazer o pagamento das suas prestações mensais. Para além desta possibilidade, nós temos um kit que é de uso produtivo especificamente, que é composto por uma máquina de cortar cabelo e 5 cubos. Este sistema nós temos incentivado também aos clientes a aderirem como uma forma de rendimento. Notamos que a nossa população, muitos deles da zona rural, as esposas ficam na comunidade, elas não trabalham. Então, ao longo do dia, elas podem estar a fazer uma atividade que é a abertura de um salão e podem estar a ganhar algum rendimento. E isto tem tido muita aceitação no mercado. Quero também dizer que, com o crescimento da nossa empresa, nós iniciamos com 15 trabalhadores. Neste momento, estamos com 50 trabalhadores efetivos e contamos com mais de 50 a 60 agentes externos espalhados nas diferentes localidades do país. Se calhar só aqui aproveitar para dizer que um dos grandes desafios que nós, como uma pequena empresa de capital totalmente moçambicano, temos enfrentado é a questão do preço aos nossos clientes finais. Este tem sido um dos motivos que os clientes têm apontado como a não aderência a este sistema. Mostram-se interessados em obter o sistema, mas são sempre confrontados com a impossibilidade de pagamento das prestações mensais. E, para nós, achamos que as entidades reguladoras desta atividade, neste caso, uma das entidades que acho que terá um papel grande e preponderante neste setor é a AMER, né? Associação das Energias Renováveis, que será o grande desafio de fazer com que o preço final ao consumidor seja um preço atrativo e acessível a todos eles. Porque, atualmente, nós, em todos os nossos sistemas nas importações, temos pago diversas taxas alfandegárias e impostos que acabam encarecendo o custo final para o consumidor. De informar que nas nossas pesquisas e nas nossas análises internas como empresa, achamos que o incentivo fiscal seria um dos grandes incentivos que poderiam fazer com que o preço do produto final pudesse ser mais atrativo. Então, chamo aqui a AMER, né, como uma das entidades reguladoras desta atividade, para, junto com o governo e outras entidades que têm apoiado este setor, para reverem a questão dos incentivos fiscais. Vi aqui numa das apresentações de um dos colegas, se não estou em erro, da Solarworks, que falava também sobre a isenção do IVA. Acho que é um dos fatores preponderantes para que este setor tenha sucesso. Não só a questão do IVA, mas também a redução na taxa das importações e os próprios incentivos fiscais que são dados às empresas que atuam neste ramo. Falo concretamente da apuração dos impostos ao final de cada exercício econômico, que seria uma redução para este tipo de empresas. E gostaria de terminar a minha apresentação e, se calhar, havendo mais oportunidades, voltarei a intervir. Obrigado. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose, for your presentation. And now I would like to ask Paulo to unmute yourself, please.
Hi. Hello. Good morning. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Epsilon Energia Solar is a Mozambican company founded in October 2007 with the aim of serving rural communities with initial sale of domestic solar systems with a prepayment regime, pay as you go. Started the activities in 2018 in the central region of the country. With its headquarters in Maputo, Epsilon Energia Solar, its mainly activity in the central region of the country, with 3 regional delegations, one in Chimoio, in Manica province, one in Tete province, and one in Gurua in Zambésia. Our operations started in Manica, and we expanded to neighboring province in the last year. The AS team is made of 25 direct workers and more than 100 external local agents. Next slide, please. Epsilon Energia Solar currently manages a portfolio with more than 4,000 clients. The customers are spread over 4 provinces, Manica, Tete, Zambésia, and Sofala. The principal activities of the clients is agriculture. AS operation is focused on rural areas where the electricity grid is non-existent. Next slide, please. Currently, AS focuses itself on its most popular product, Sun Kingdom 16. The solar kit consists of a 6-watt panel, battery, 12-volt charger, and 3 lamps. For customers with greater financial capacity present, the Sun King own 400. This is more complex solar kit with included 19-inch TV, an optional flashlight and radio. Next slide, please. With a total of more than 7,000 solar home systems sold in Mozambique, AES seeks sales stability by seeking to build local capacity in its external sales agents. The training of these vendors will improve the performance of the goals. The products are sold by cash or credit in pay-as-you-go system, where it offers our customers payment terms 3, 6, 12, and 24 months. 80% of products are sold in 24 months due to the ease of payment and low incomes of rural populations. Customers mostly choose the extended their payment term. Next slide, please. As business model is based on the pay-as-you-go system, high financial risk business, this model have great challenges to the operational in the field and the financial management of the company. Customer control has to be managed through a management platforms with great effectiveness in mobile communications, MPAS, MOLA, and MCAS systems. Ongoing and dedicated follow-up to customers. Next slide, please. A few points just to provoke the debate. The target client actually after COVID pandemic and natural disaster has a poor financial capacity. Support for tax exceptions and tax incentives improve business development. Dependence of donors is limited. Thank you. Thank you for this invite from AMER and for partners with AES, Brilho, AFC, and GIS. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Paulo, for your presentation. And thank you to all the other presenters. It's really nice to see what you are all doing in the market. Now that we heard about the companies, I would like to welcome once more Ricardo from AMER, who will be moderating the discussion. Everyone else, please, you can switch back your cameras on for the panel discussion, unless there is some lag or bad connection. Otherwise, you can keep it off. And now, Ricardo, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Once again, thank you, Luke, thank you, Nuno, thank you, Jose, and thank you, Paulo, for those presentations. It's wonderful to see that we're sharing, and I think this is really and as Renisha had mentioned earlier on the Energypedia, this is what we've been trying to do. So as the president of AMER, and I feel really, let's say, it's an accomplishment here, because this is exactly what it's about. It's about us sharing data. It's about us sharing the problems that we have. Fortunately enough, I think one day we may see a Mozambique where the market is extremely competitive and saturated. But I think it's very fair to say that right now there's space for everyone, and we're stronger by collaborating than being competitors. So again, thanks Energypedia, and thanks again to GIZ for organizing this. And I want to build back. I want to go a little bit back and look. Maybe I'll go to you first, because about a little bit more than a year ago, July 2020, we had AMER, we had COVID-19 focused webinar, right, where we spoke about solar home systems companies being looked at as an essential service at the time. We had no idea the extent to which COVID was going to go. The country was shutting down, and there were a number of challenges, right? And maybe we just revisit a little bit of that and how that has evolved. So maybe my first question to you was, at the time, I remember we spoke about it, and you had mentioned that the pay-go model didn't change much, and also you had spoken about receiving funding from either GIZ Fazer or these other donors that were helped you stay afloat during businesses. So maybe a quick question there would have been, would be how are things evolved a year on, and what are the current challenges that you're facing?
Sure, thank you, Ricardo. So obviously we do have more context now after 18 months of operating with COVID. I would still say that little has changed with the basics. You know, our core business model hasn't changed. The way that we operate in rural areas hasn't really changed. Marketing activities have been limited as we're trying to avoid drawing a crowd. I'd say really what's changed on the sales side is just that we've seen the purchasing power of the average customer decrease. That for me is undeniable. But we have been working with donors, especially with GIZ, to make our products more affordable. So I'm sure everyone's aware there were already donor programs to help us make our products affordable in Mozambique. Mozambique is a market with a real misalignment of customer purchasing power and price of solar home systems due to the lack of fiscal incentives. However, since COVID, these subsidies, these donor programs have gone further. So rather than just helping us to remove the impact of VAT and duties, they've actually helped us to further subsidize the products for customers that are struggling. So I think we've accessed a new customer segment with even more affordable products. And for those customers who would have been able to afford previously but can't, they can now afford due to these more affordable products than ever before. Due to the fact our products are more affordable than previously, we've actually seen improvements in the performance of our portfolio over the last year. Some of the early COVID cohorts were quite poor. They really struggled due to purchasing without really understanding how their income would have been affected by COVID, by the new economic situation. But the new customers that we brought on with the lower prices, they're succeeding really well. I think this makes sense. Our customers are incredibly price sensitive, but the need for the products doesn't reduce. Energy is a necessity. They still have to charge their phones. They still have to light their home at night. And they will spend money on that, whether or not they can afford a solar home system, whether it's with candles, kerosene, or solar, and traveling to the trading centers to charge their phone. So as long as we can find the right price point, we should be able to continue to sell products and have good repayment, and not even a pandemic should have too big an impact. And really, that's got to be a continued collaboration between the private companies, the donors, and also the government. I think we've seen some good movement, but those fiscal incentives really need to step in at some point soon. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And I think the key word there, I think you've said it: price point and the right incentives. Jose, I'll just go like this as you are on my screen. Jose, for Dynamis, what are the current challenges that you are facing? So a similar question to you. You've already mentioned how the pandemic has impacted the business, but I would also like to understand that. So now it's been a year of COVID, right? And Luke has mentioned how they've managed to stay afloat. How has Dynamis managed to manage these COVID challenges?
Obrigado. Uma das grandes questões, né, que nós como Dynamis enfrentamos ao longo deste período da pandemia foi relativamente à forma como nós atuávamos no mercado. Com as restrições que foram impostas, né, acabamos não tendo aquela liberdade que tínhamos de poder aderir a certas comunidades como nós fazíamos antigamente. Nós usávamos como uma estratégia que era as divulgações nas comunidades, onde podíamos reunir um grande número de populações de uma certa região, e desta forma conseguíamos fazer demonstrações dos sistemas que nós tínhamos, e isto acabava fazendo com que numa só região nós conseguíssemos abranger o maior número possível de potenciais clientes. Com as restrições, tivemos que deixar de fazer essas concentrações maiores, mas continuamos a fazer, mas com cumprindo com as recomendações Covid. Este foi um dos grandes desafios que tivemos que nos refazer na forma como nós nos fazíamos ao mercado. Outro aspecto que nos afetou foi o fato de a maior parte dos nossos clientes começavam a se fazer ressentir das consequências do próprio Covid. Muitos deles alegavam ter perdido o emprego. Falo mais dos clientes que já estavam como clientes e a fazer os pagamentos no sistema Pay-as-you-go, que normalmente nós damos um período de 12 a 30 meses. Então, ao longo deste período, o cliente aderia ao nosso sistema enquanto estivesse a trabalhar, mas ao longo deste período ele era encontrado em contramão e perdeu o emprego. E ele ficava sem a capacidade de pagar as suas mensalidades. Neste tipo de cenário também tivemos que nos refazer e fomos criando pagamentos que pudessem dar aos nossos clientes uma forma de pagamento menos agressiva. O que nós fizemos foi dar um tipo de pagamento que antes era mensal, nós reduzimos para pagamentos semanais, quinzenais, de forma a ele evitar aquela situação de ficar totalmente sem iluminação. Então, este foi um dos desafios. Para além disto, nós conseguimos estar no mercado ao longo deste tempo todo, graças, e quero agradecer grandemente aos parceiros internacionais que têm ajudado as companhias moçambicanas neste setor, que ajudaram-nos a manter-nos e continuam a ajudar-nos a estar até hoje. Se hoje estamos aqui como Dinâmica Limitada, é pela mão dos parceiros que nos têm ajudado até então. Então, de forma geral, a questão do Covid afetou-nos sim, mas nós também tivemos que nos refazer e encontrar soluções de forma a dar seguimento com as nossas atividades sem que interrompêssemos. Ao longo deste tempo, fomos notando que muitas empresas, o maior dos três, que é a nossa, acabaram tendo que despedir muitos funcionários. Para nós não foi o caso, pelo contrário, com as janelas que foram abertas para este setor, nós conseguimos aumentar a nossa capacidade produtiva. Nós antes éramos uma empresa revendedora. Hoje somos uma empresa que faz a comercialização dos seus próprios produtos e isto é um grande passo. Somos um exemplo do crescimento deste setor e posso dizer que nós estamos a caminhar bem e posso garantir que vamos continuar no mercado a crescer e cada vez mais e mais. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado, José. Se me permite, eu vou então fazer um pequeno sumário daquilo que disse em inglês. So I'll just do a quick summary. José has given here some very important points and answers, so I'll just do a quick summary in English. But so there's four main ways in which Dynamis was affected. The first one, having to rethink the way they went to market. So because of the restrictions imposed by COVID on agglomeration of people. The pay-as-you-go system, using the pay-as-you-go system on a 30-month basis and now making it. E se calhar, José, antes de eu explicar, uma pergunta rápida. Os pagamentos passam a semanais e a quinzenais, mas ainda usando o sistema Pay-Go ou não?
Com certeza, sim.
Okay. So changing from long-term, using still the pay-as-you-go model, but changing from a long-term payment, almost all they had between 10 to 30 months, to reducing that for it to be on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and thus having a less pressure on a lot of the clients that subsequently, because of COVID, had also lost their jobs and also the ability to pay these large amounts on a monthly on long term. as Jose made a quick mention, and a thank you to all the partners and funds and donors that have been supporting this sector, because, and he explained that, you know, without that support, Dynamis would not be here today. And they've also shared that they've actually managed to not having to lay off anyone, but in actual fact have managed to maintain all of their workforce due to this support that they have found, which that's very good. And lastly but not least, to say that you have gone from a reseller to now a commercialization of your own products. So, and that's very nice. That's very nice to see. Congratulations to Dynamis. Noon, to you and SolarWorks. SolarWorks also participated in this webinar that I mentioned about a year ago with when we discussed essential services and COVID. And at the time, one of the things we were talking was there was a shift. There was a shift between competitors in the market to collaborators. So SolarWorks, Phoenix, Epsilon, Ignite, all of you wrote in terms of the incentives, and we'll touch on incentives a little bit later. But that was a good example on how you collaborated. So throughout the pandemic, how has that developed? Have SolarWorks still collaborating with its competitors in the market? If so, do please share if there are any collaboration efforts going on. And
Thank
sorry,
you, Ricardo.
maybe I'll just touch on and just add a little bit, and then you can answer both. And the other one, maybe as Jose mentioned, now on retaining of employees, it would be nice to hear from you how that has also happened in SolarWorks. Have you managed to retain all of your workforce? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Look, I was not maybe at SolarWorks yet when the last webinar took place, and for that, it's difficult for me to answer about something that was said before. But also what I can still say is that I think that AMER is playing a great role on this. I'm not the type of guy that think that alone I can do more, and that I can earn more. I can be the one just being by myself. I really think that all these companies in the sector needs to somehow to work together. There is always secrets, and there is always things that we don't want to share. Things that I don't want Luke to know, I don't want Paulo to know, or Jose. But this is a huge market, more than 29 million people, and we don't reach all of them yet. And I do think that it's working together, and it's having also a strong competition that we can all be better. At the end, we are all here with one main reason, which is give electricity and change lives. And I cannot do that by my own. Going now about what you mentioned about retaining staff and so on. Look, again, for those that don't know, I joined SolarWorks in October 2020. And the first 6-9 months, it was all about, not about cutting costs, but mostly to understand how SolarWorks were being managed and what can we do to do better, to improve. And we were not forced to cut costs, but obviously that we made some changes, specifically over the last three months. And the reason it's simple: the world changed with COVID, and the market also changed. The economy is also not as healthy still as we need, as we want. Sales and payment rates were drastically affected by the pandemic and put on the company on a different way of working, and cost reductions has to be put in place, and it's what we did. We didn't cut costs just because we need to cut costs, but we need to have a more specifically about SolarWorks. We need to have a more healthy company, not so dependent on external funds. It was a difficult year for SolarWorks. Yes, I just joined in October, almost at the end, but I know and I saw that it was a tough year for SolarWorks, and I think for the whole off-grid energy sector. But again, and I think that just with the support of RBF programs, we were able to keep on operating on a, I will call, a decent level. Well, I don't know if I answer your question, but yes, we did some changes. It was never about cutting costs, but to do better with less, spending less. That it's also my objective here.
Perfect. Thank you, Nuno. And just before, I would like to move on from COVID, but as Nuno has mentioned, it's a different world. COVID has changed, and this is the world that we live in. So, Paulo, to you and Epsilon, how as a year now, we've been a year and a little bit on COVID. Still, the challenges that you as Epsilon are facing, I imagine they're very similar, but I would like to hear from your side as well. The challenges that you're facing, any changes that you had to do to your own business model due to COVID. Please go ahead.
Okay. This last year changed a lot the companies in Mozambique. COVID is a new model of to live in the world, and you need to understand, and you need to adapt your company to this new world. For Epsilon, the COVID in the relationships with funds and with the sales, it's a critical and important point. In this last months, we have a lot of activity with our founders, IFC, Pereira, and GIS, because you need to understand who Epsilon can help the donors and who donors can help Epsilon. It's important because in the final of the day, the two the companies and the funds need the same sales targets and the sustainable of the companies. This is for me the most important in these last months. We understand the organization of the operations in the field. The cost is the same point with Nuno presenting, cut the costs, reorganizing the teams. This is a big challenge for all companies, not for Nuno and Luke. Jose have a small company and have the same problems. We need to understand with AMER, with the government, who is the best challenge for the future. I think it's important to review the contracts, the price, the funds, because the future in Mozambique for energy is the solar system when we have non-existing energy grid.
Thank you, Paul. And maybe I'd like to touch on that, and I think I'm very happy to have you all here, because there's nothing like talking from the outside, but it's very good that, because all of you have walked, let's say, walked the walk, and what I'm getting is that all of your companies have, during this time, realized that you have received donor organizations, funding from donor organizations, RBFs, and so on. So maybe my question there is, and before we touch on whether that is sustainable or not, from these programs that are now supporting you, is there specific requests that you have learned that would make it easier for you as a company, assuming that that support is there? I think we all agree that that support is good, because we are in the specific times. It's not sustainable in the long term. Companies need to be able to operate on their own. But since we're here and all of you have walked through it, you've had that support has managed to keep you afloat. Is there specific requests to those programs, or specific things that you've learned that would help you as a business to act better, to reach your customers better, and maybe even to jump some of the obstacles that you have? I'm not sure if my question is clear, but let me just rephrase it and break it down, which is, so all of you, so is there, if it was a wish list, and you could speak directly to a donor and to say, well, actually, what would really help me was that you would change this or change that. If there's a specific request that you would make to the donors and the programs that have been supporting you during this time. Let's go. We can go, Paulo, since you were the last one. We can go with you, and then Nuno, Jose, and Luke. So, Paulo.
Okay. Now it's very important, the funds for Energypedia Solar. It's if you don't have these funds, don't survive in this at this moment. We need to work together in this funds, and this availability to manage these funds. But it's important to remember for the future. If you continue to financial the companies, when these funds it's finished, the companies is dead, because it's impossible actually to survive in the market if you don't have these funds. It's important to work together with all companies, with AMER, with the government, to understand who is the best road for this type of investments.
Paul, Nuno, on your side, if there was a request that you could make to donors to help you improve, what would that be?
Look, I have a simple wish list, which is just keep on going, because alone it's just not sustainable, and it's not sustainable when we speak about small systems. And those are the ones that everybody needs, and where the market is also bigger. For that reason, also SolarWorks moved a bit the last 9 to 12 months to bigger systems and more to the productive use. When I'm saying bigger systems, I'm saying really big systems, because we cannot depend on first on a pay-go, and also on small systems and donors. But look, I have one good example how things can be properly done, and that help us to go over this COVID situation over the last few months. And sorry for all of them, but I need to mention one amazing program, which from a local NGO, GIZ, which called COVID Pay. And that program make us almost helped people to keep having their system working, even because a lot of people lost their jobs, and there was no income. There was no way for them to keep on going and to keep paying their small system. And with this program, we were not giving away energy for free. It was based on you pay one, get one. But it has a huge made a huge difference in our business, in our operation, and I would like to give that as an example. And my wish list, it's simple: just keep on going, because if we still want to reach the ones that need most, it's not sustainable alone. It's not just the private sector. We really need donors, and we need all the help possible to reach them and to make sure that we can provide them energy. Otherwise, it's difficult.
Thank you very much, José. A pergunta ficou clara, né? Força.
Só para esclarecer um bocadinho.
Então dizia como a Dynamis também se beneficiou da ajuda dos parceiros, tal como o José mencionou. Se houvesse alguma coisa que pudesse pedir a estes programas que ajudam e que ajudam o setor para melhorarem ou para incluírem, que pudesse ajudar a vocês como negócio, o que é que seria? Um pedido.
Bem, na minha opinião, eu tenho duas questões. Primeiro, é que ajudassem a melhorar o ambiente para o exercício deste tipo de atividade, que garantiria que houvesse uma sustentabilidade deste tipo de empresas, né? Que basicamente seria a questão que eu já havia colocado logo na minha introdução, que são as questões de termos um ambiente favorável no sentido de haverem algumas isenções, se possíveis, nesta atividade, porque quando olhamos para a atividade, vemos que se o doador não existisse no meio disto tudo, praticamente seria impossível nós desenvolvermos esta atividade. Mas a questão que nós colocamos é até quando é que nós vamos depender do doador. Então, seria importante que nós, como empresa, tivéssemos esta capacidade de autonomia de, em algum momento, podermos operar sem os doadores. Porque nós sabemos até quando é que um doador estará disponível para nos dar esta ajuda. A outra questão muito importante que eu me deparo com neste ramo é a formação. Eu praticamente sou formado em contabilidade e auditoria, tenho muita experiência em vários ramos aqui em Moçambique, mas este ramo é um ramo muito novo. Quando iniciamos as atividades, nós como Dynamis, houve um grande desafio do meu lado para poder perceber o tipo de negócio que é este. E esta dificuldade eu percebo quando nós colocamos, por exemplo, os nossos pedidos, por exemplo, nas instituições bancárias, eles olham para a estrutura da própria empresa e vê lá muitas contas devedoras e pensam que a empresa não é saudável e não olham para como é que o negócio em si funciona. Então, é preciso haver uma clareza de como é que este negócio funciona, principalmente para o setor bancário, neste caso, né, que também é uma fonte de ajuda para as nossas empresas, para a sobrevivência desse tipo de empresas, e seria importante que eles também tivessem essa capacidade. E nós também, como empresa, termos uma formação de como operar neste setor. Nós aqui estamos a gerir créditos. Praticamente estamos a trabalhar como se fôssemos uma instituição bancária. Então, esta formação é preciso que também nós tenhamos o domínio desta matéria para que possamos conseguir gerir os nossos créditos ao longo deste período de existência do próprio crédito. Os créditos que nós temos variam de 12 a 30 meses. Então, é um período muito longo que é importante nós sabermos como lidar com este tipo de situações. Basicamente, nós como empresa, neste momento, estamos a enfrentar estes dois tipos de situações. Então, uma capacitação com instituições que já têm maior domínio desta matéria seria importante para nós, para podermos precaver situações futuras, porque neste momento estamos a trabalhar de acordo com as situações que estamos a encontrar no momento. Eu resolvo as situações de acordo com aquilo que vou encontrando. Mas eu não sei, ao longo dos anos que se seguem, como é que eu vou lidar com este tipo de situações, quais as ferramentas financeiras que eu posso usar para poder ter um melhor controle sobre este tipo de negócios. Então, eu acho que é uma formação que os parceiros, para além de nos darem os incentivos, né, seria o know-how para nós podermos estar mais capacitados para este tipo de negócio. Obrigado.
Muito obrigado, José. Tá claro. I'll do a quick translation once again. So, when asked for what requests, José mentioned two. First, a favorable environment, in the sense that he's also recognized that yes, donors are important now, but this is not sustainable in the long term, because one day it may disappear and companies need to be able to stay afloat. And the second one, in terms of training, because at the end of the day, although yes, we're dealing with solar home systems, we are also dealing with a credit, with in microcredit over 12 or 30 months, and training is crucial in this sense. Thank you very much, José. Look, to you,
yes,
your wish list.
Yeah, thank you. I'll start by echoing Nuno and saying the COVID Pay promotion, the COVID Pay program from GIZ was incredibly helpful, especially for those customers who were struggling at the beginning of COVID. I think some targeted programs like that in future would be good for those customers who are on the higher payment plans and are struggling. It would be great to have similar programs. I don't think a broad stroke is needed for the entire customer base as potentially was previously. But on to more specific ones, for me, the way for us to have the best impact is for us to be able to plan, especially with COVID and long lead times of getting containers. We need 6 months in order to, get stock into market, out into the shops, and really into our customers' hands, which means that long-term donor programs can be much more impactful, even if the amount is smaller. So yeah, I think for our wish list, it would be more long-term programs that allow us to really plan, a year in advance, 2 years in advance, and that will also help to give our investors confidence, give NG confidence in Mozambique as a market to invest more in fixed costs and scaling our business and meeting the demand that's there. One of the challenges we have at the moment is not having a signed pipeline for all of 2022 at the moment. For instance, there are programs that we know will come up, but we're already in October and we don't have visibility as to where all the subsidies will come from next year. We can continue to operate. We will. We're already ordering aggressively for next year, but it puts a fair bit of risk, especially if your investors are a little bit risk averse. Not having that visibility even a year ahead makes it difficult for us to have as big an impact as we could otherwise. We have been selling. We've been outselling our targets this year. We have been, we've had numerous conversations with donors saying, "Can you sell more? Can you sell more?" And the honest answer is yes, we could have if we had known how much grant money there would have been this year. But as it stands, we've had numerous stockouts because of that. So yeah, longer term programs would be really helpful. And then I have to echo Jose in saying that obviously the real solution here is duty and VAT exemptions. With those, I think that the subsidies can go away. And of course, it would be lovely to have an overlap so we can serve the lowest income communities with subsidized systems both by the state and by donors. And I think that's really should be what the goal is of these donor programs. Yeah, I think with the state subsidies, it will then be the onus will be on the providers to reduce the costs to the point where it meets Mozambique's standards. We have to remember, Mozambique is still for energy. It's the lowest income market out of 9 markets. So even with state subsidies, which we get in most of our other markets, there will still be a slight misalignment of affordability. But it will be our responsibility to find the market, economies of scale, reducing the cost of the product, innovating within market to find that alignment. As it stands, it's simply impossible to find that without subsidies. That's
perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. This is super interesting. I am super conscious of time because I know that there's also questions from the audience and very interesting questions. So before we go into that, I just have a couple more to you, and then let's jump to the questions from audience, and then I'll hand it over to Fernando for the conclusions. But thanks for that. And I think we've covered COVID, and I also got a comment in to say that yes, COVID has changed the world, but yes, COVID is also not the end. We're learning, we're adapting. There's actually markets where COVID has been a boost. You have received, and again, thanks to the various programs that have been here, but I think the message is more and more clear. Right now, they have been crucial for your existence, and without that support, you probably would not be here today. In the long term, when we start looking at the long term, we definitely are moving, and there's the recognition that we need to move away from donor subsidies into other subsidies or other incentives of the market, right? Be it tax breaks, be it customs breaks, and then we start adjusting that price point. So I think let's move away from COVID and move away from the donor part, maybe understanding more on the market side and the landscape and how you guys do business, right? So we've already talked about pay as you go. And from Energypedia's presentation onwards, it was interesting to see that a lot of the willingness to pay is actually in the north. While in the north of the country, also apart from all the conflicts and difficult situations in terms of logistics and so on, there's also probably the part of the country where, and I'll stand corrected here if I'm saying a huge mistake, but where mobile network, and my assumption is that it's okay on the coast. It's probably more difficult as we go to the more rural and remote areas, and specifically in the north of the country. Mobile network is not available. Pay-as-you-go systems then have a problem. So what I would want to understand from you is, have you explored other payment collection methods that have worked where mobile network is not available, or have you actually seen that there's now been a surge in pay-as-you-go systems because your customers are actually having availability to mobile network? And in this sense, my question is also, we're talking about the last mile, the last mile customer. So how are you actually getting there? Apart from your own incentives, have you found that collaboration with maybe microcredit networks, women networks, other organizations such as microcredit that are in these rural areas? The other day we talked, and we can't get a light bulb, we can't get a panel, but somehow Coca-Cola is there. So are we moving into that last mile? And I'll go Nunu. maybe you first in terms of strategy for last miles and also collection payment methods. How is Solarworks doing?
Okay, look, I think that we are all more aware of the fact that, and I mentioned that before, that together and combining strengths, and that is women networks, NGOs, private companies, MFIs, banks, all of them, the whole economy, we can easily overcome weaknesses and build stronger business, a stronger market, and as much strong that is, as better for the customers. With that being done, customers, and again, those that needs most, can have access to products and services that they will never be able to have. And I think that this webinar, it's a good example, and it helps to build relationships and between parties discussing, sharing ideas, concerns. And from what I can see, the market is completely open to collaborate in such a way that together we can do more, as I said also, than what we can do on our own. And I think that, but again, I think that there is a lot more to do. If we go through MFIs, if we go to banks, there is a lot more to do. And what I also know is that it's not alone, again. And I think that AMER can play an amazing role on that, putting us together, not just when we have a kind of a webinar, but look, guys, honestly, and sorry the whole audience, but let's just have a coffee once a month and let's share ideas. Let's help each other. And I think that is the only way to go. I will not get nothing from a bank just being there alone by myself or by us as Solarworks. If we work together, that will work, and that we can get much more. And again, what you are now doing, at least I know that AMER, I know that Luke is also involved on that with tax exemptions and duties and so on. That it's a good example. Let's see where this will go. But it's a good example. That's together we can do much more. Look, about mobile network. Honestly, from what I can see, the last few years, and the mobile network and the access to that, it's also getting better. And we need that to work to make our PayGo system available, because it's the PayGo system that allows most of customers to afford a solar home system. But again, just to close my answer, which is taking too long. I think that it's still space to improve, but that it's something that it sits more with the government and with the Vodacoms and with Movitels and with all the whole telecommunication companies. But it's getting better. I'm driving. I think that we all drive a lot in country, every month at least. And look, it's not the same that it was a few years ago. Now I can easily stop the car and I can have a meeting on the road, because yes, I have access to internet and I can get calls. I remember when I came in 2009, it was a nightmare in Nampula just to have access to my cell phone. But I think that it's getting better.
Perfect. Thanks, Nuno. Well, what I'll actually do, let me just switch that up a bit, because I think Nuno has kind of covered a lot on what we're discussing. And there's super interesting questions from the audience.
Sorry for that.
No problem. I think this is really good. So maybe I'll just go directly into the questions of the audience to Luke, Paulo, and José, and maybe start with José. Havia aqui um comentário e há uma pergunta. O comentário também dizia que os incentivos fiscais não podem ser fundamentais para o negócio funcionar. Não, temos que, de facto, temos que conseguir, faz parte, mas temos que conseguir, porque senão o modelo pode não estar muito correto. Mas, neste caso, queria perguntar ao José, especificamente, sobre como é que é possível, olhando para os vossos clientes, e falamos há bocadinho da formação, porque, na verdade, estamos aqui a gerir um crédito, como é que vocês ajudam os vossos clientes a melhorar o seu credit worthiness, ou o seu crédito, não é não sei a tradução correta disto, mas como é que existe aqui uma maneira de gerir o risco, dado não haver um historial de crédito em muitos dos clientes com quem vocês trabalham?
Sim, um dos fatores que a gente coloca no ato de aceitação de um cliente é que nós temos um credit score, um questionário que a gente faz ao cliente antes de ele aderir ao nosso sistema, em que a gente faz questões para saber a sua capacidade de pagar. Claro que é baseado apenas em afirmações, né, que o próprio cliente vai deixando. Então, é um risco que a empresa tem que correr, não temos como ter a certeza se a informação que o cliente está nos a passar é real, é verídica ou não. Mas, após nós termos aceitado o cliente, nós temos feito um acompanhamento. Temos uma plataforma que faz o registro de todos os nossos clientes, e esta plataforma é específica para este tipo de negócio. Então, existem lá ferramentas que nos possibilitam ter um acompanhamento do histórico do próprio cliente. Por exemplo, a nossa plataforma, à medida que o cliente vai fazendo os pagamentos, ele envia informações ao cliente sobre os seus saldos atuais. E também temos feito promoções aqui internamente na empresa, de modo a incentivar o cliente a reduzir o período de pagamento das suas prestações mensais, que é dando descontos, né? Por exemplo, se ele faz adiantamento de 2, 3 meses, nós concedemos um pequeno desconto. Assim, o cliente fica incentivado em fazer pagamentos adiantados, o que para nós é bom e para o cliente também é bom, porque ele reduz o período que ficaria a pagar o seu crédito. Então, basicamente, são essas ferramentas que nós temos usado para controlar os nossos clientes e os créditos que eles têm. Ele tem noção de quanto é que ele tem em dívida, sim, e quanto é que falta, quantos meses faltam para ele pagar. E fazemos também, temos a possibilidade do cliente fazer um upgrade do sistema que ele está a usar. Por exemplo, se ele começa com um sistema muito baixo, ele tem a possibilidade de ir crescendo e aderir ao sistema mais grande que nós temos. E tudo isto tem a ver com o histórico que o cliente vai demonstrando ao longo do período de vigência do seu próprio crédito. Então, tudo isto nós fazemos perceber logo no início ao cliente. Então, ele já fica ciente de que se ele quer ter um benefício futuro dentro da empresa, ele tem que ter um bom comportamento em termos de pagamento das prestações. E isto tem resultado muito, porque é uma coisa que temos feito, temos dado muita ênfase aos nossos clientes.
Ok, muito obrigado, José. Eu, infelizmente, tenho mesmo que fechar aqui e passar a palavra à Fernanda, porque estamos no limite máximo. Acho que as perguntas são interessantíssimas. O que conseguimos e prometemos fazer... sorry, now I have to go back to English. So, I have to close here. The questions are extremely interesting. So, what we have promised to do, and this is why we're also part of why we're here to launch this panel and this platform. So, two things. First, I would like to let the audience know that we are planning to organize also breakout rooms exactly for what Nuno had mentioned, to bring the interested audience together to be able to discuss. And also, Energypedia has just, as you've just seen, the platform is there for us to be able to answer, to provide you documentation. So the questions that weren't answered by the audience, we will put the questions up on Energypedia and then invite some of the panelists to answer. So we start already using the platform. I want to thank all of you very much, Luke, Nuno, Paulo, and Jose. Thank you very much for being here. I think the parting words for the donor programs that are using us, it is thank you for the support. We have to start planning ahead. It's going to be needed in the short term, but in the long term, there's a sustainability issue here. We're talking about capacity building. Us as AMER are very, very much interested in the capacity building. And I think Renak will do a presentation later also on some of the programs that we are putting together in terms of capacity building. And there's a number of topics that we can explore there. And last but not least, thank you to Energypedia and all of the support that you have provided us. And we as AMER, we promised and pledged the support. We are here to coordinate, to allow that platform for us to discuss, but also push forward on these issues that will definitely make this sector sustainable. So thank you very much, and that's my 1 minute over. Fernanda, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, for that message. It was very clear. And thank you once more to all our panelists for sharing their experiences. I really hope this discussion has helped our viewers get an idea of the status of the sector from the market side. And thank you for all of you who submitted your questions. Now, before I close this webinar, I would like to, also show myself. Now, I would like to warmly thank all of our viewers for attending today's webinar and invite you to register in Energypedia. Visit the hub and you can share your knowledge with us. If you have any questions or want to give us feedback on this webinar, or you just want to stay in touch with us, please reach us out at our email is info@energypedia.info. And yeah, now before the final close, I would like to kindly ask you to leave your feedback on today's webinar in the pop-up window right at the end when you leave. There you can enter all the questions, extra questions you have, and if you have any more ideas of any more topics specific to this webinar or for future webinars, then please leave them there. And yeah, last but not least, I would like to invite you all to these new courses from RENEC. There is a new course on PV application, and yeah, you can get all the information there in their website. And there's another master course, a renewable energy master course. So if you are interested, please reach out to them. And thank you very much for attending today. It was a really great discussion, and we hope to see you in future webinars. Thank you all. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Ricardo. Have a nice day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ranisha. Bye-bye.